Hi everybody, this is Stephen from the Endless Celts podcast. This is going to be slightly different this morning. We're actually giving reaction to the departure of Neil Lennon. We've seen over the last couple of hours. It was first announced on the London Stock Exchange that Lennon has left the position of manager with immediate effect, and John Candy will be taking over interim basis until the end of the season. So, in terms of that, I'm joined today again by John. How are you feeling, John?
I, it's, I'm glad that he's obviously chosen to resign. I think a lot of Celtic fans waking up this morning, the vast majority are certainly going to be happy at the resignation. But again, it's bittersweet because this season's been an absolute failure, and this is
Yeah,
4 months too late at this point.
yeah. I,
Um,
I was I was saying to yourself off air that I woke up literally about 40 minutes ago, and the first thing I was told that Neil Lennon left, and I thought I was dreaming it. So I had to check every news outlet that I could to make sure it was true. Obviously, that's not being disrespectful towards Lennon himself. He's a legend with the club, and he'll always be remembered for that. But it's the desperation levels that this season's reached. As you said, it's been terrible. It's how are you feeling emotionally about it? Is there any anger towards him, Lennon, or is there any pity, self pity, that type of thing?
there's no any anger on my part towards Lennon. Like he says, I love Lennon as a player. He was incredible for us, and we can't forget. It doesn't matter how you feel about how this year's went. You can't forget or ignore what he's put himself through for this club, and he'll always be respected in my eyes. In that respect, what I will say though is this season, as I say, it's been a monumental failure start to finish. The board should have acted a lot sooner, and I feel Lennon should have made the decision a lot sooner. It sounds like this news, sort of, the rumour started floating about late last night, that he had 24 hours, and I'm assuming the board have basically gave him an ultimatum. If he says you've got 24 hours to tender your resignation, or we sack you. Obviously, to save a bit of face, he's chosen the resignation route,
Yeah,
and sort of try and salvage a bit of dignity. But we, as Celtic fans, know. I wish him all the best for the future, absolutely. And there's no animosity towards the guy. Like I said, he's a club legend. That'll never be forgotten. But in my eyes, it's too little, too late, and that makes it bittersweet because this should have happened months ago. And now we're in a position where we have to see it the rest of this season with John Kennedy, which I don't think is an improvement in the slightest. And in my personal opinion, he should have walked.
yeah.
He's part of that backroom staff. They all should have walked together.
I think Anthony made a brilliant point yesterday on the podcast. Basically, we're in Nissan Micra. There's nothing wrong with a Nissan Micra, but unfortunately, the wheels have fell off, and we went from a Nissan Micra to a Fiat Punto and John Kennedy. And I do hope that he doesn't get the job on a permanent basis if he wins his remaining games or if he does well. In terms of
I,
go ahead, John.
yeah, no, I just touched on that Kennedy comment. He's one of the favourites now with the bookies
I've seen
to
that
get
this
the
morning.
permanent job. And they reckon it's because any manager, interim manager that's in charge for 10 games or more tends to be appointed permanent on a permanent full time basis. In this instance, I can't see it happening, or I hope it doesn't happen. I'd like to see the Celtic board have got a lot of making up today. Dominic Mackay coming in, hopefully that sort of rings big changes around the club. But if they feel that this move at this stage in this season, given how it's went, absolves them of any blame, then they're grossly mistaken. And if they want to start putting things right with the supporters again going forward, they need to ensure that even now, between now and the end of the season, they're laying the groundwork for getting another manager in. And I really hope that the discussions have either already taken place or are taking place at the minute,
Yeah,
and that an announcement will be made as soon as possible regarding manager long term, because Kennedy isn't the answer. And if he is announced, then what the board have done is they're just further distancing themselves for the support. And I think
yeah.
the backlash off the back of that would be immense.
Yeah, it's almost like as well. John Kennedy's been there for years now, and he for me he would be a part of the rot that set in the Celtic Park coaching staff, and he needs to go along with Gavin Strachan. And I do hope, as you said there, it's not a permanent basis, and they're already speaking to managers or to have candidates lined up. In terms of the statement, John, I haven't really had time to go through it. Have you picked out any key points from the statement this morning that you want to say?
So yeah, I mean, I've looked at the statement. Basically, all the basic formalities. I'll just briefly skim through it. But it's lads, by and large, what you'd expect. Obviously, it begins. Celtic Football Club today announced that Neil Lennon has resigned from his position as football manager with immediate effect, which we now all know. It then goes on to state that Neil's obviously served the club with distinction as both a player and a manager, then highlighting that he's delivered numerous successes, and most recently completing the domestic treble in December. And highlighting in the second period as Celtic manager that he's achieved 5 trophy successes to add to his 3 league titles and 2 Scottish Cup victories in his first period as manager, which is all fine and well. You want to highlight his accolades so that the fans remember what he has brought and what he's done. But again, that just seems like they're trying to paper cracks. It then goes on as well. Current assistant manager John Kennedy will take interim charge of the team, and then a few quotes for Lennon himself. He says that we've experienced a difficult season due to so many factors, and of course it's very frustrating and disappointing that we have not been able to hit the same heights as we did previously. I've worked as hard as ever to try and turn things around, but unfortunately we have not managed to get the kind of run going that we've needed. I've always given my best to the club, and I've been proud to deliver silverware to Celtic supporters. The club will always be a part of me. I will always be a Celtic supporter myself, and I'll always want the best for Celtic. I'd like to thank so many people at the club who have given me so much, and I would also like to thank my family for the love and support. I wish the Celtic supporters, players, staff and directors nothing but success for the future. So again, sort of box that it's sort of copy paste.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe what he's saying in terms of how he feels about the club and the support and everything else. Like I said, he's ingrained in this club's history now, and that'll never be forgotten. But basically, it's just a cut and paste template. This is something you see for clubs every time. There's nothing here that really points to anything. There's no admittance that decisions should have been made. There's nothing like that. It's just a bog standard. Here's what's happening.
Yeah.
Peter Lawes came out and added to that he'd like to pay tribute to Neil for all he's done at the club during the second spell, delivering their 8th and 9th successive league titles and quadruple treble and winning the last 5 domestic trophies. Again, like you try to absolve any blame on yourself, like just highlighting, but he's done this since he's came back in.
It's almost like, John, sorry for interrupting, it's almost like they're just ramming the success down your throat type thing instead of acknowledging what's actually went wrong and led to the resignation of Neil Lennon. And I also have to say as well, like, and yes, he is a Celtic legend. Dermot Desmond, I've got it up here. He says he's a Celtic legend. It'd be hard to replace. Yes, we get all that as well. But for me, the time for change was months back. It could have potentially saved their season. And I also noticed in the statement as well, in regards to the Celtic statement about the resignation, there was no mention of Gavin Strachan. Do we know anything about him? Is he staying on with John Kennedy, do you think? Or do you think he's gone too?
There's, as I said, the statement doesn't mention anything again. It's just about Neil's leaving, and then Law, Desmond, Neil himself, and the club as a whole, just highlighting what he has achieved rather than any failures. So there still doesn't seem to be any acceptance on their part. In terms of Strachan, I'm assuming with Kennedy coming in as interim manager, Strachan will probably play assistant to him. Again, though, I feel that the 3 of them should have walked together. When Neil resigned, the other 2 should have walked. Obviously, you're then in a position where you say, well, who do you take as interim then if Kennedy and Strachan walk? But I mean, I don't know. We need to do something, and this is obviously the first step to hopefully, which is going to be some drastic and well-needed changes going forward.
Yeah, I mean, who's the first team coach? Will it be Gavin Strachan's laptop? I mean, that's all we really need there and that type of thing. But in terms of Lennon leaving, obviously, well, it's a sad day in terms of the nostalgic for nostalgic reasons and the success he's brought to the club. I mean, for me, I'm not gloating about it. I am happy, but I'm not running about cheering and saying thank God Lennon's gone. I wish it had worked out for him. I really do, because he's a Celtic legend. He's from Ireland like myself, and it pains me sometimes that it's went like this from this season, but that was always going to be the way if it didn't start right, it didn't go right. And he said in November time he would have left if the wheels went off track, but the wheels went off track months ago. And it's almost like to me as well, John, a lot of Celtic supporters, including myself at points, were saying he's waiting for the payoff, but he resigned himself, so maybe he wasn't. He was actually genuinely just trying to turn it around, and if that's what he was doing, kudos to him himself for doing that, trying to turn it around. But he should have noticed the problems a long time ago, before Christmas even, and said to himself, look, I'll walk away and give it to someone else to try and save the season. What's your opinion on going forward? And we'll go to the next manager odds, or the next manager favourites at the moment. Let's fast forward to that. Who would you like to see come in? I know it's put upon you, but if one name came to your head right now, who would you say?
Eddie Howe. I mean, I've said that for the minute he was linked with us, young manager, and what he'd done with Bournemouth, given his limited resources at the length of time he did at the club, and what he was able to do with a club of that size was incredible. He's got a lot of same. He likes to play attacking football, which we Celtic fans love to see. He likes to give opportunity. He likes to develop his youth players. He seems to have a good eye for tactics. He would bring something fresh to the club, and I think he would be number one choice for me. I've seen other names linked. Don't like much of them, to be honest. But that would be my number one choice.
Yeah, I've seen as well that the bookies favourite at the moment, well, last night anyway, was Steve Clark. What do you think about Steve Clark? Do you think it'd be any good?
I think Steve Clark's a great manager. I like the job he's doing at Scotland at the minute, and I hope he stays in that role. Would he be a good manager for us? Probably. But he I believe he had this opportunity before, and he said he didn't want the job. I briefly recall reading that he doesn't want himself embroiled in the toxicity, the sectarian nature of being a Celtic or Rangers manager and things like that. And he's been quite vocal about it before in the past. So whether or not he would accept the role if it was offered to him is an entirely different thing. But I think it was touted to him before, and he says that it's no to him. He's interested in putting himself or his family through.
Yeah, for me, I tend to agree with you, John. I would go for Eddie Howe. It's just because he's that type of forward-thinking manager, and if we're getting a director of football, if rumours are right, then it'd be perfect for Eddie Howe, because I think he's worked under one at Bournemouth, so he's used to that kind of setup. And I think
I'm sure that Bournemouth, even the Bournemouth director of football, has been linked with as well, and he worked with Howe during.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
I mean, if you're bringing him in as a package as well, then why not?
Yeah. I mean, it almost points to that. What I would love to see over the coming days, but I think we're probably expecting too much now, is maybe an announcement that let us know what's going to happen at the end of the season if there's a manager in place. Because I've seen as well, Eddie Howe's been linked with some Premier League jobs, and Crystal Palace for one. So I don't know if Eddie Howe would hold out unless he signed a contract he's going to take over the end of the season with a new director of football in place. And I really hope that happens in terms of Eddie Howe, because I think he'll be a breath of fresh air. There's other candidates in there, there's other candidates like Rafa Benitez. I've seen Roberto. No, I've seen Roberto Martinez, but he's in the Euros with Belgium. That's happening this summer.
I mean, Belgium are like second or third ranked in the world or something silly. He's doing a great job with the Belgian setup. So I doubt it. We're linked with Martinez every time there's a change of manager. We have done for years. Benitez, he demand too much money. The amount of money he was on in China was astronomical. If he gets back into management, which he stated he's not in a rush to do at the minute, it'll probably be another English Premier League club, I'd assume, unless he gets another offer. I mean, he's already been touted to take over some much. Well, when they say bigger clubs, because I don't think there is many clubs bigger than Celtic, but in bigger leagues.
Yeah.
Another name is Villas-Boas as well, which I hope doesn't happen. I mean, you see, they're going to throw names at the Celtic job now. There's going to be a lot of speculation now that Lennon's resigned. They're going to be everybody's name is going to get launched at the job. Prices for bookies, which I don't take too much note of anyway, because the bookies are assholes. But they generally they're just going to chuck every name in the hat. But the only one I want to see, and the only one that interests me and excites me, is Eddie Howe.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Eddie Howe, he has that persona about him. I remember watching a few videos on YouTube about the tactics masterclass. There was a one he did against Chelsea, and the way he explained the way his players were moving and the pressing and the forward thing again. But I just thought that was brilliant. In terms of him as well, he would come in almost like Brendan Rodgers, that type of thing, just come in, breathe a bit of new life into Celtic, give them a bit of scope, and maybe improve the players who are already there, who've kind of hit a brick wall. But in terms of Neil Lennon's departure, I'll give you one word to sum it up. What would it be?
One word to sum up his departure.
Yeah.
I don't even know. How do you sum that up in one word? If you were just to say, the first thing that comes to head is, no, because that doesn't even fit. I honestly don't know how to answer that question, Stephen. It's difficult to sort of sum up because, like I said, it's bittersweet. I love the guy as a player and everything he's done for the club, but I'm happy he's left. I'm just going to say happy. It doesn't. It sounds worse than it is, but I'm happy he's resigned because it means that we're obviously taking steps now going forward. At least I hope. And Kennedy isn't going to be a permanent appointment, and I hope that this is with Don Mackay coming in. Lennon's resignation, we're starting to get things in place and the wheels are already in motion to find his replacement.
Mine would be relief. I would just feel relieved that this
relief is that that is a great word. I couldn't think. I drew a bit of a blank. But relief
I was hoping you were going to. I was hoping you were going to say bittersweet because you told me that before we went live.
I did as well, and I even said it there. But relief, bittersweet. Both of them are perfect choices. It's early.
Yeah,
give me a break.
In terms of that, the way I describe it, I just hope the Celtic players are feeling like they can breathe again. If they felt like that anyway, just feeling like this is all but over. I mean, Kennedy and Strachan's still there, yes, but hopefully they won't be next season. In terms of the reaction that I've seen on social media as well, there's a lot of people actually. They're not abusing them, which is brilliant. I mean, I would never condone any abuse, and I've seen other fan forums say they're going to ban people who do that, which is fantastic because
they definitely should because it's sick. Yeah. And Celtic fans have got, in fact, any Celtic fan or self-proclaimed Celtic fan who feels the need to direct any hatred or any bile towards Lennon, regardless of what's happened this year, and the Celtic fans at all, as far as I'm concerned. And anybody listening to this who feels like that, then, I mean, they're not welcome at the club. We know what this club stands for and everything we're about, and that isn't it.
Exactly.
Like I says, I think a lot of us are thankful and grateful, and there's an element of relief that Lennon's resigned. We see it, there's a lot of us agree that he's not the man for the job to take us forward. And that's fine, you can say that. That's not a problem because, again, the club's bigger than any individual. But as an individual, he'll always be respected and remembered for what he's given the club and everything that he's endured as a player and manager. And you can't take anything away from the guy. And other Celtic fans need to realise that. So anybody talking shite about it, spite, all this vile and abuse and hatred towards the guy, regardless, it's just not welcome.
Yeah, I think you're correct because he had 20 years of service, basically, both player, manager, and he's won numerous titles, leagues, and he's had success. But I think the frustration with everybody was that he didn't walk away earlier, but it's done now, and unfortunately the 10 can't be saved unless some sort of complosion miracle happens over at Ibrox, which isn't happening, let's be honest. And in terms of John Kennedy, and I hope they're just there to steer us to the end of the season and they'll be gone as well. Well, in terms of our reaction, John, I do thank you for joining me this morning. I think it bodes well for a fantastic show on Friday with some more new guests. I mean, it's going to be a big show on Friday, and hopefully you can join me in that as well.
I think Friday's going to be great. I know the podcast just seems to be getting bigger and the content getting better, and it's going to be like that going forward. This is obviously a massive talking point for Friday, and I'm sure we'll get into a lot more detail on Friday and getting opinions of some other guys as well, and seeing where we stand. I mean, given the fact that we've not had any midweek games, and this has happened just after the last podcast, there'll probably be a major talking point. So I'd imagine there's going to be quite a lot of good content, some good discussions taking place. So I hope these boys are ready.
And also as well that the podcast I had yesterday was very passionate. I mean, all three of us were going for it, and Anthony was a fantastic guest. So if you have the time, please listen to that as well. And I, for one, will be looking forward to the future with open eyes and open minds, because we don't know what Celtic's actually going to produce, and we could end up with someone like Jack Ross. And that's no disrespect to the man, but I don't think he's Celtic calibre at the moment.
No.
Thanks for joining me again, John. I do appreciate that. And what I'm going to do now, I don't know about yourself. I'm going to put on the kettle, have a cup of tea, and just sit and just reflect on the news that's happening this morning. What's your plan for the morning?
It's going to be the same. I'll probably read a few more articles and just see what's happening about it. See what other nonsense is being touted and floating about now, because as I said, it's going to start coming in thick and fast. All these rumours are going to start circulating, so we'll see where we are. And as I said, hopefully it's a step in the right direction. But thanks again, Stephen.
Well, no worries. Thanks for joining me. I do appreciate it. You're a regular contributor, which is brilliant. And to the people, the Celtic followers, Celtic supporters, and I hope you have a great day and a great morning. Lee Lennon's left. He's resigned with immediate effect. And we can look forward to the future, hopefully with some optimism, and hopefully a big name comes in, or an Eddie Howe anyway. But until Friday, until we speak again, I will be posting regular updates on Instagram and Twitter, so please keep up to date with that. There'll be some content going in there, and this video will be obviously picking up as well on YouTube and Spotify. So thanks again, everybody, and in the meantime, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.